This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Tech, show number 139, recorded on October 17th, 2013. Here at Home Tech, we cover all your favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home, news, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in Bellevue, Nebraska. And, of course, we post the show with world-class show notes, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying the show notes. I've spent a lot of time working on them over the last couple of weeks to include the YouTube links. So if you want to watch YouTube and go right to the part in the show, all the links are right there. You can just click on that. Takes you right to that spot in YouTube. And we've got that all out at theaverageguy.tv. If you have questions, comments, or contributions, you can contact the show. Just send me an email. Podcast at theaverageguy.tv. You can track me down on Twitter. It's just at @jcollison, or follow the show schedule on our Twitter account, theaverageguy.tv. You can also join us for live chat during the live show right now at theaverageguy.tv/live. Right below, actually, on the live stream window, it's right to the right. I always do that the wrong way. It's that way over there. The chat window is over there, and you can join us for live chat for the show. And you don't even need a live stream account to make it work. You can just log in with a handle and join us in chat. Love to have you do it. We've also done a window, or we also have a YouTube high bandwidth option available. And let's see which direction it's going to be up. No, over that way. There we go. Up over there. And you can click on that button, and it will take you to the YouTube high bandwidth version, and so you can get a little bit of better quality on the video if you do that one as well. All right, well, happy Thursday night to you. Glad you come out. It's been a crazy couple weeks for me, and I just have not been around. So if you're a regular follower of the Average Guy and Home Tech podcast, I apologize for not. It's just been crazy, a lot of work travel, but we're back on track tonight, and I've got Michael Crump with me. I met Michael at Heartland Developer Conference here in Omaha, and if you want to go back and look at those, if you just search for Michael Crump and I think Heartland Developer Conference, the interview that I did with him will show up. But Michael, thanks for coming on tonight. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much for having me back again. I am doing absolutely wonderful. How are you, Jim?
I am doing well. It's good to kind of get back in a normal routine and kind of settle into things and get some normal work hours. I know you're on the road quite a bit though, aren't you?
Yeah, it's actually been very crazy for me here lately. So the past couple of weeks I have been let's see, I went to Bulgaria for 7 days. Yeah, that's Teleric's.
Bulgaria.
Yeah, exactly.
What the heck
So
is in Bulgaria?
well, I went there for DevReach, and obviously Telerik has office there as well. So met with some of the teams there, but I went to DevReach to do a couple of sessions, and actually one of them wasn't a Windows session, which a lot of people are kind of surprised about. So when I was there, I did a session on iOS 7 application development, but then I did a Windows 8 talk, so I kind of made up for not talking about Windows. But I've been exploring everything mobile, and so after I came from that, I went and visited Microsoft for some just internal meetings and stuff like that. So I was away for literally enough that my wife was about to slap me.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Do you have any children?
Yes, I have two children, 5 and a 3-year-old. So I'm really
Oh.
trying my best to manage the travel. Next week I'll actually be at M3 Conf, which is just a mobile only conference. So I'm redeeming myself, but with a Windows Phone 8 talk there.
Yeah.
But I'll also be doing an iOS talk. So I'm always like canceling each other out, talking about Apple and then a little bit about Microsoft.
So I sense a little guilt from you, and
Yeah, there is. There
yeah.
is. It's so funny. Is like I start tweeting sometimes about iOS stuff, and people are like, "I don't care." I'm like, I haven't got that crowd. I haven't been able to grab that crowd yet. But yeah, it's actually fun, and really for me, I've been wanting to explore, and just understand other mobile technologies. I got into Xcode and Objective C. I found really wasn't that scary after all. And then obviously I've been looking a little bit at Android Studio. I think we were talking a little bit before about a conference upcoming, from there that I'm actually going to, and it'll be the first conference that I get to go to, and on my badge it just says attendee.
Oh, nice.
I will be so happy
You're
going.
not having to speak there
There's
then.
no pressure. There's
Yeah,
no pressure. So I'll be
yeah,
able to go and actually just enjoy.
yeah.
I'll be able to enjoy the conference. But yeah, and so yeah, things are crazy. And then after that, it's Sweden for Oradev, and then
How do you get any work done? I
it
mean,
is
with you're
it is
traveling all the time, right? I
it
mean,
is it is crazy. It is really hard to get anything done. So I've been at home this week, and we'll be at home next week until Thursday or Friday. But yeah, I do a lot of work. Well, thankfully, Delta has go in-flight internet.
mhm.
United will take care of you. And those are the two major ones that I found. So I'm able to do a lot of work in the air, even though I really don't like hitting that buy button when it says that internet's like $13 for one flight. Now, obviously, when I'm going to Europe and stuff, I don't have that option with the long haul, across the Atlantic, and I still don't know why they can't get internet
No.
access.
Maybe those satellites are geosynchronous and they just stay above the United States, right?
But we can watch television. We can watch the satellite television and stuff as we cross over.
Are
But
you saying it's a scam? Is that what you're saying?
all I know is that if I got internet on my flight when I go to Europe, and I go to Europe several times a year, and even next year I'm looking at some other places that I've never been. If I was able to get internet, we're already so spoiled that it only takes a couple of hours. It takes 8 hours, from like Detroit to cross the Atlantic,
Hmm.
and we're still like, we have television, we have iPads and everything. We still are complaining about it.
Because we want the internet, damn it. Bring me the internet. Well, hey, Michael, let's back up a little bit because just jumped right into you. But let's talk
Yes.
about why you're doing these. So tell me where you work and what you
Yeah.
do and kind of why you do all this travel.
Yeah, so I work at Telerik, which a lot of people that's kind of in the .NET space are pretty familiar with Telerik. So we're a leading vendor of UI components and tools. We also have, a CMS product as well as developer productivity tools. Some people may be familiar with our Just Code plugin for Visual Studio, as well as we've branched out and we've started doing some other sort of products, such as Icenium, which is kind of a our mobile hybrid applications. And it's one of those things. Telerik just keeps growing and growing and growing, and we have some cloud services that we're now exploring, called Everlive. And Telerik is just an absolutely growing company. So while I've been there. I've been there for a little over 2 years now, and since I've been there at Telerik, it's been an absolutely whirlwind. I mean, now they're up to I think on their page they had about 800 or so employees, and when I joined, there wasn't that many, nowhere near that many. So it's just launched, and so I work primarily as a developer advocate or developer evangelist, kind of whichever word you would like to choose. I really work the most with the XAML technologies, but I'm always playing with pretty much everything, any sort of technology that I can get my hands on. So I do a little bit of besides just .NET, C Sharp. Um, I do some JavaScript, as well as Objective C, like I was telling you a little bit about. A lot of different languages I get to dabble in, and I get to build some cool things, and lots of prototypes, lots of demos, lots of things like that. But on the side, I build apps as well. So I am in code a pretty good bit of my day.
Yeah. So but when you're at these conferences, I mean, right? It
Yeah.
seems like right. You're doing maybe one or two a month. So are you just like developing all the rest of the time? I mean, is it like weekends and nights? And I mean, how are you handling all that? How do you balance that?
Yeah, so it really, with an evangelist role, you're doing a lot of different things. So like the day-to-day like process could be like working with the product teams, could be, looking at, hey, what cool new feature should we be adding, to our control suite next? So there's a lot of things that you're kind of doing. And so when you go out to events, obviously, I go out and I go out to, talk and spread whatever I'm passionate about. And my talks always are changing from year to year. And but yeah, when I'm trying to get other work done, it is one of those things that you get to play the balancing act where you may be responding to an email while somebody walks up and starts talking to you in a booth.
Yeah.
Or you may take that time in between when everybody's at in a session and start, doing a little bit of work. So yeah, I'm kind of one of those guys that I'm real passionate about it. The kids are asleep, and the wife lets me. I'm definitely in some sort of gadget.
Yeah, I imagine I'm going to ask you about your gadgets here a little bit later as we talk kind of about
Sure.
your home geekness. But I want to ask you, how did you get to where you're at? I mean, what kind of steps, just in a quick progression, got you to kind of the place where you're at? Where'd you start?
Yeah, so obviously, from my wonderful accent, people are always wondering, where's this guy from? And so I always start off with, I'm from Alabama. And they're like, how did a guy from Alabama, a state that like all the only people that know about Alabama is about our college football team,
Yeah.
and that's only because they run it like a pro. So how did a guy from Alabama get to Telerik? And obviously, for me, it was one of those things that I was working with their product, but I think a lot of it really started happening when I started blogging and started making myself, available on like social media and things like that. So like on Twitter, it was a big one. I started tweeting, started following and absorbing knowledge from obviously people a whole lot smarter than I am. And when I started adding that to my blog and started getting noticed, kind of everything kind of just started falling in places. So uh, I had articles offered to me in various magazines from Visual Studio Magazine to I just had an article last month in MSDN, and it led to Pluralsight courses, and eventually with Telerik, just led to a job at Telerik. So it's been a whirlwind, and over I can say over the last 2 years, it's been so much fun.
Now you mentioned plural site. So have you done a plural site class or two?
Yes, I've got one out there right now, and it's called Beyond the Basics in Windows Phone 8, and it's available right now. And I've been actually watching the trends of how many people are watching it. And so in this course, basically talking about the four things that I thought that was kind of the most important. So most people that are playing with Windows Phone 8, they look at the tiles, they start playing with tiles and looking at some of the APIs, to pin information, things like that. Well, I kind of move into the other topics such as like um, wallets, mapping, speech, things like that. Some of the topics that I can kind of consider, beyond what the guys have first started playing with.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at your blog. So michaelcrump.net, pretty easy to remember, right?
Yes.
MICHAELCRUMP.net. And I actually see I made the blog. That's pretty
You,
nice, right?
you are on the blog, yes. So every podcast that I've ever been on, I don't actually list them like I probably should. Like a lot of people, they put like an interview section and then they put like a speaking
Hmm.
section. I just kind of have it all like mix matched, and that's
Yeah.
because I changed blog providers, and I just never kind of really changed
You just kind of
changed it.
jam the whole feed all together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, it is laid out nice. I like the way the date and the comment. Although I would move the comments down below the
You know,
date.
the
But
comments. What's so funny is that you'll notice that on the comment section they're all zeros, and I had somebody ask me, they're like, or is nobody commenting on your blog? And I was like, well, actually, I'm filtering comments The problem is that I don't actually go in and unfilter the comments. So everybody that blogs, unless I go in and just am thinking of it, and if you go back far enough, you'll start seeing comments. But unless I go in and actually start, taking that off, I thought I'd probably just remove the filter. But I was having so many people that were putting like, ads and just crazy stuff that I went to a really a tight system before it got published. Um,
It's out there, right? It works. There's people who get to it. Do you are you a metrics guy? Do you kind of track who's hitting your site and how often and where from and those kinds of things?
I have a Google Analytics tied up to it, and I go out to that, I would say probably once every 6 months. It's one of
So
those,
no.
yeah, no, I don't really look at the data that much. I know if I've got a really successful blog post, or if something's doing really, really well because I'll see a lot of retweets, and if somebody hits the tweet button at the bottom of one of my pages, it does an at MB Crump, so I know I can tell if somebody
Yeah.
is tweeting from that page or whatever.
So what are you getting the most traffic around now? I mean, I know your passion is mobile, and that's kind of why I wanted to have you back on to talk a little bit about that. We
Yes.
just went through a huge meetup here in the community. We went out to Indianapolis. About 60 of us guys got together and did this day long conference. Microsoft came out and did. They had a whole Surface bar, and I mean, it was very very cool. A bunch of guys bought Windows phones that day, and so I think we counted 13 or 14 new phones that day, including the 520. A lot of folks bought the 520 that day, and
Yes.
I'd mentioned pre-show, but I'll mention it again if you haven't been watching. Amazon now has the 521, so that's the T-Mobile version of this. Wow, that's a really nice picture that's on there. Hold on, let's see if I can get that. Look at that. That's a nice picture. That's
The
Colorado.
the the Bing wallpaper of the day.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think this is one of my pictures. I set it to. I think. I thought I set the background to be
Yeah.
one of my pictures. Let me see. Yeah, it is one of my. Anyways, doesn't matter. The 521 is now the same price as the 520. For some reason, the 521 was 130. The 520 was 100. If you're a T-Mobile guy, you go with the 521. But that's out the door. That's $100 out the door. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Oh, before I forget, did you get your email today that they're going to offer a pretty nice voucher for us MVPs for Surface devices at the conference? Did you read that?
I didn't get that email, but I have heard about that. So that's going to be for the Surface 2. So from what I've heard, and so it would be really nice to be able to pick up a Surface 2 device. Um, uh, uh, do you know exactly how much we
It's
get
it's
off?
$200.
$200
Yeah,
off?
it's $200 off
Nice.
plus
Very
a
nice.
free touch keyboard.
Well, see, I was there at the at Tech Ed this year, and at Tech Ed they were selling Surface Ones RT for $99, and then the Pro
Right.
was 249. I'm wanting to say
Yep.
it was
Yep.
somewhere around there, somewhere around that price range. But I was there for Tech Ed, and at Tech Ed, I picked up, obviously one of each. But, being the nice guy that I am, I actually wound up giving them away. But if you do have a Surface One device right now and you're trying to dump it, for the Surface 2, I will say that Best Buy has a very good offer, and it's that trade-in program. And if you don't know about it, you can just go to bestbuy.com and look at their trade-in programs. But you can get, I think, up to 250 bucks for the actual for trading in your Surface, as long as it's in very good condition. I think it's actually more than that if you have like a Surface Pro. But I know that a lot of people are kind of getting ready to get rid of their Surface Ones, so I don't blame them at all, especially with the new stuff coming
Yeah.
out.
Well, so let me ask you: if between the new Surface 2 and Surface 2 Pro, you got your eyes on any of those? Maybe you already got one in hand. Or what are what?
No, I don't. I don't have one of those in hand. My goal would probably be the Surface 2 Pro. Right now, for my presentation machine, I've been using, and now a lot of people are always thinking, oh, would you get all the cool stuff? But I'm using an X1 Carbon Touch, but uh, also remember, Telerik, lets me pick out my hardware and things like that. So that's a really great laptop for presenting because it has touch, it has the SSD, it has plenty of gigs of RAM. I think it either comes with 8 by default, but it's a great machine. But I've been looking for something even smaller because I'm actually carrying usually about 2 laptops when I go somewhere. And my back is obviously not as strong as it used
Mm-hmm.
to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I carry two as well, so I know.
Well, then I carry multiple phones as well. So,
Right.
sometimes I'm carrying up to 4 phones. And when I go through security, they're already looking at me like, what is this guy doing? Why does he need 4 phones?
Yeah.
Because the drug dealers have to have all the phones. If you watch Breaking Bad, if
I
you watch
don't.
Breaking Bad,
I
then
don't.
you know a little bit about that.
Yeah, they've got all the different phones, right?
Well, they have to have a way to be untraced, so they
Yeah.
make the phone call and then snap the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, all of my phones are like $600 phones, and I wouldn't be snapping them.
Right. Right. And so you have them all because you're doing phone development, right? And then so you're
Yes,
using them to test.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Are the emulators not good enough that you can't just run it off the emulator, or you as a
And,
developer feel like you've got to have the physical device to get a good test?
the emulators are great, but there's obviously some things that they can't do, at all. Like, so for example, like Windows Phone, you try to take a picture, you can't really do any really decent testing with that. Now, there has been some improvements, but if you have a really powerful machine, so the machine that I'm talking to you on is actually what I call my workhorse, because it's a W520 that I've maxed out with, all the trimmings. So that machine, I can actually spin up the emulator in really probably about 6 or 7 seconds, which is really good compared to my other machines. And so when you're running on really good hardware, it's hard to really test it versus when you actually have a device. So like if I plugged in the 520 and ran it on that, you know, I may think my app is awesome and is going to rock in performance, but it may be because it's been running on a really, good hardware. And then when it gets to the phone, it's like, oh my goodness, where is the processing power that I used to have?
Yeah, it kind of goes away pretty fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's always great to see what it looks like, on a device as well. So, and I do have one of the coveted Firefox OS phones.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes. I
Now, how
have
did you
one.
come across
I
that?
have one of those, and you know what? I had it, but I believe. Oh, actually, I think I have it. I had to drop the mic to grab it. So here we
I'll just
go.
edit that part out. All right, go ahead. All
So here
right.
we go. Here is the
Firefox
Firefox
OS, huh?
OS. Now this is the developer preview phone. So I think they have it on their uh,
Yeah, there you go, right there.
yeah. It's that. So the phone actually looks like this, and I have a blog post that you can check out. That's on my blog that talks a little bit about it. And you know what? Since I have taken this thing back off of the charger, I think it's already dead again. But it's a really sweet device. You can put an SD card inside of it, and with the SD card, obviously you can expand your storage. All of the apps are actually just HTML5 based apps, so it's a really sweet phone. And so how I was able to acquire it is I know some people that works at Mozilla, just like always networking.
Sure, sure.
So I have a friend that works at Mozilla that I asked him, would he be able to send me a phone where I could go ahead and start playing with it and seeing what it looks like. And also, it kind of completes my collection.
Yeah, so you've got them all now at this point, right?
I believe so. I believe so. The other ones I was actually a little bit more prepared for. So the 920, which everybody loves,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
Have you ever thought upgrading that to the 1020?
I have, but the thing is that I really the money it would really just be spent for
Yeah.
the camera upgrade. So I'm not going to buy it, and actually the same way with the other device, which is the iPhone. So I have the iPhone um, 5, and so obviously I could put my like thumb down here at the very bottom and pretend like it was the 5S for the thumbprint. So yeah, I'm also in the same boat with the iPhone. So the 5 does absolutely everything I could possibly want it to do. The 5S, obviously just has the 64-bit processor, which there really isn't any apps that's going to make use of that right now. I think there's only one or two that's even in the marketplace. It does have a faster chipset and a couple of other things, but the fingerprint reader I don't really need. I don't mind punching in the pin number. And a lot of these gadgets, these are I'm buying them with my own money. Obviously, I can get some of them through the company and stuff, but you know, I do have to have a reason to upgrade. I don't always just
Right.
buy the
Yeah.
latest
It's
tech.
tough because they're coming out fast. I mean
They
that
they are
they yeah,
yes.
they're coming
Well,
out
and
fast.
I'm waiting for the now I will be buying the Nexus 5 because it has KitKat, the latest version of Android on that, and I even have like some legacy phones here. Pull out my pull out my old school Dell Streak.
Oh, good heavens. Yeah.
See, I was kind of prepared.
Yeah.
The Firefox phone I didn't have, but the other phones I had
Now that
available.
streak is actually bigger than the Firefox phone, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's crazy big, and you believe it or not, I used to actually carry this thing in my pocket.
Yeah.
So if you look at the
Oh, good heavens.
difference, I'll just kind of
Yeah.
put them, like that. You can tell, the difference in those two.
Right.
I used to carry the Streak with me everywhere, and this was running. I think it was Android like 2 point, one of the earlier versions. I can't even remember. Um, 2 point something, but it
Honeycomb?
was,
Was that a honeycomb or a
or it may have even been the version before that.
gingerbread? No,
Yeah, ginger
gingerbread.
was gingerbread after honeycomb.
I don't know. I,
Well,
I
it
just
was
I
it
get
was
hungry whenever I think about those things. That's it. That's
Froyo. Was that it? Froyo?
it. Could have been Froyo. Yeah.
I think it was running that version, and it was really kind of crappy at the time. But I carried it around. I thought it was just so cool at the time because I could put 16 gig SD card in it, and I would be able to, or mini SD card, whatever it was taking, and put just drag and drop MP3 files, and it would actually play them. And back when that device came out, that was kind of like the cool factor,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
nobody was able to add that kind of storage. They
Okay,
had just
so
enough of them.
you've got the Nexus 5 coming up. What are you running on Android right now?
Yeah, so right now it's the other version of the Nexus, which was like the heavier
Okay.
Nexus. What was the one before?
4? The 4?
It may have been the four, but I was thinking it may have been the one right before that one. That one I actually do not have on me at the moment because that is loaned out to a friend for some of his testing. So I think maybe he's had it for too long.
Yeah, if you can't find it and you can't remember when you gave it to him, it's probably been out too long. Yeah.
But I have been using Android Studio. So I was using Eclipse before to develop for Android stuff. So I have been using Android Studio, which is still like in this crazy weird beta versions, like a 0.01 release, I think was their first release. But they've updated it since then. So I've been able to use that. The emulators are still super slow. There's a couple of ways to improve them, but yeah, it's been one of those things. I, I've been kind of into pretty much everything, but a lot of Windows Phone and a lot of iPhone here lately.
I'm going to ask you about the Windows Phone here in just a second, but I want to come back around to the Firefox OS.
Yeah, sure.
Why? Why? What? I
Yeah,
mean,
the question that seems to be a question a lot of people ask,
yeah.
and I wish I actually had it charged, where I could show you a little bit more. But on my blog, like I said, I have some links to some pictures. And by the way, they did not ask me to ever. I mean, they didn't say blog about it. They didn't say any of this other stuff. They just gave it to me and said build apps. I think Firefox was deciding that what, we want our apps to be HTML based. Obviously, they're pushing their browser. All of that is all pre-installed and ready to go. Every app that you run on this thing is just an HTML5 based application, and the operating system, it gets instant updates. So I don't believe that they're going to go through like carrier updates that, like, even like Windows Phone has kind of been hit hard with waiting for carriers. I
Yeah.
believe they're just going to push theirs down to the OS.
And
But
do
yeah,
they
that
even have a carrier at this point?
no.
Okay.
There's only a couple of places to even buy one, and you really can't buy one because they're not really ready for general release. But there is a couple of places that I've seen that would sell you a developer phone, but I believe the final hardware, because what I've got, obviously, it says developer preview even like on the very, very back of this thing. Um, so you
Yep.
know, as long until they get to the hardware finalized, I don't think you're going to see these in stores anywhere. But yeah, that's just another one to compete. And BlackBerry is already struggling, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see. The mobile wars are on at this
Mm-hmm.
point. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they are on and they're in full swing.
Yeah, and I think we're really down to three at this point.
Hmm.
iPhone, Android, and Windows is trailing. Obviously,
Hmm.
although their market share is beginning to pick up, and they're making some inroads in some places. That's well documented on other shows, so we don't need to dig too much into that. But I know you're big into Windows Phone development, and I have to ask you the same question. Since you develop on all three, what's getting you excited about Windows Phone development? I mean, what I know, and maybe what's your MVP in first? I never
So,
asked you that.
so my MVP is actually in Silverlight, and it's been in Silverlight. And obviously, I was probably going to be moved over to Client App Dev, um, this last time, but I was renewed in July, which was right before the Client App Dev opened up. So that program opened up after I was renewed. So I think that they can move you over, you know, mid-cycle or the next
Mm-hmm.
cycle or whatever. But it looks like to me that a lot of the Silverlight people are moving over to Client App Dev. Obviously, I'm trying my best. I'm doing what I love, and if I was able to get into the Windows Phone program, that would be absolutely great. The Windows Phone MVP or the Dev MVP. But the way I've always approached the MVP program, you do what you love, you do what you care about, and the rewards come. And
Yeah, no,
you know,
I totally agree with you. In fact, I just remembered Dave, who I was telling you, they moved over to the Windows Experience. They just moved him, I think, onto the Surface team.
onto the
So
Surface team.
you should
Yeah.
make sure you lobby your MVP rep. And I'd even send an email and say, "Hey, what do you think about?" Because I think they're pretty flexible on that right now. It's not, I
they
don't think it's hard and fast rules.
They are pretty flexible. The problem, I think, with the Windows Phone group is that they are a small group, and it's a little bit harder to get in. It's a little bit harder to get into that group because they're a very small group, and I think they want to keep it that way.
Yeah, well, let's hope not. Let's hope they'll. I'll start lobbying when we're in.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, when we're there. Well, let me go back to my original question, and it was we talked about Windows Phone development. I'm going to throw this site that actually during the conference somebody I don't think it was you. It was another guy, but if you go to apps.windowsstore.com/default, that is a process you can start building your Windows Phone app online, and I actually built one and deployed it to my phone. I should show maybe I should show folks what I did here. It's not very good, but
This is the app maker,
yeah, this is the app maker.
App Studio, I believe is the name
So
of it.
this is kind of cool because you don't really have to have any
Yes.
you don't have to have any experience. I know, I mean, you're a code, you're a code guy, but you don't. This is like, so I created. Let's see if you can see this. This is
Yes.
this is what I created. Let me lock that on the screen there so I can show folks. Okay, and I just pulled in an RSS feed for the average guy stuff, and there's the YouTube page with the description of the of the podcast and some. There's the audio files right there if you want to watch home tech on your phone. Now this is
Yes.
I built this right.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's kind
Oh.
of
Oh
cool, and
yeah.
I think if I click here,
Yeah. It should
it'll,
open up YouTube.
yeah, and then this is really hard to do when you're on a camera, and I should turn
Yeah. It'll
that.
flip over and it'll automatically launch.
Yeah. So again, with no, there we go, and there's the. I built that app off that site, right? I mean, pretty simple to create my own. This is the average guy app. Now it's not in the store, right? This is private to me,
You
but
built it and deployed it to your device.
I did.
And do you know what's even really cooler about that is that that app that you built, um, the next release of Windows Phone, which is GDR3, you can actually download the latest operating system onto your phone right now for absolutely free. You don't have to wait for any carrier type of thing. And it's Microsoft. It's all completely supported by Microsoft. So people that use App Studio or have a paid developer account is able to upgrade to the latest operating system without going through the carrier.
So I can do that on my 520.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how do I do that? No, we
Yeah.
could talk about it. Do I
No,
need to?
no. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. There is an app that's in the store that all you have to do is download the app, and uh, I was looking at the live stream, and the
Yeah.
answer to that is yes, it is free. And so there's an app that's in the App Store, and maybe we can put that in the show notes.
Sure.
And all you do is you download that app, you log in with your credentials, your Live ID, and then you're able to download the update.
Oh, nice. All right, I'll have to give that a try.
Very, very sweet. So yeah, you
Yeah.
can you can go to the latest operating system, like right now.
Well, my goal has always been I'd love to have my own app for Windows Phone for the
Sure.
network, right? So someone could come in and actually this is the beginning of it, and it didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted it to, and so I scratched it a couple times. But I literally built that in an hour. I mean,
Oh
it was
yeah.
in, built, done, deployed, bam, it's done. So pretty easy. But the kind of development you do on Windows Phone, how do you do that? Because it's a lot different than building it here, right?
Yeah, so what I did use is obviously Visual Studio 2012, and if you look at my blog, you'll see, it's, I'm definitely developer focused. Most of my talks are developer focused. So I use Visual Studio 2012, and then I've downloaded the Windows Phone 8 SDK, and obviously I use our own tools because we build UI components that work with Windows Phone. So, and I'm on that team, so I might as well, fully embrace, all of the stuff that we've added. So I really use those three products: the SDK, our tools for Windows Phone, and then the Visual Studio 2012. Even though Visual Studio 2013 came out today, and I downloaded that one, and I launched it, but that's as far as I've actually gotten with it. I had the preview, so I had checked it out. So when I build those apps, obviously, it's according to what I'm building. The couple that I have right now that's just in the marketplace was stuff that I was building kind of for me. Treadmill Assistant was one of them. I
Oh
was
yeah, I think I still got that one. Hold on.
Yeah, Treadmill Assistant was one of them. It was one of them. It was back to where it's time to lose a couple pounds. So I was looking for a good app, and I'm actually going to make a really cool update to that one coming up. So yeah. So this is the app, and so you can do things like chart. You can chart your runs. You can click on any of those dates. You can tell how many miles it took. Just click on a date,
Hold on. Let me.
or just
Oh,
punch on.
it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just click on one date somewhere. Yeah, and so you can, log your runs and you can save them. At the end of it, you can look at charts, you can export the data, and this right here, like even, where it says, miles ran today, that's one of the controls that, we built at Telerik that I'm actually using to do that. So yeah, I absolutely love playing and building with this. This was just a personal app. I didn't even put an ad in it or anything like that. and the people have been. I've gotten a lot of great, feedback from it. But the thing is that I really haven't done much to update it, and I have a log in there of what I've updated and things like that on the about page. But again, I've been doing so many random things. I haven't updated it like I wanted to, but I have some cool stuff in store for that app. It was mainly features that I wanted, and uh, to kind of help me stay motivated at the gym.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one because some of those, with the app progressions, like Fitbit and some of the
Oh yes,
Endomondo and Map My Run and a few of those other ones. Those apps, after a while, they get super. They started simple, and
yeah,
then they add and they add and they add and they add and they get super
exactly.
complicated, right at the end.
Yeah,
Uh,
right now I use the Fitbit app, and I use Fitbit, but I found that I'm not so faithful at keeping it on me at all times. I
mhm,
probably need to switch to the actual wristband that they have, because I think I would actually keep the wristband on versus the tracker, which is what I currently have.
right.
You have to use the belt clip type of thing to keep it with you, and it's just kind of hard to kind of just manage.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So the development of that, so you're in Visual Studio.
Yes.
Is it all C sharp then? And
Yes.
how
Well,
sophisticated do I need to be from a developer standpoint to be able to do
oh,
that?
anybody can get started. And there's actually a lot of great Pluralsight videos on getting started with it. And there's Windows Phone 8 jump starts. So no, I use C Sharp. You're not tied to using C Sharp. You can use Visual Basic if you would like to as well. So the two main things that you're going to need to know a little bit about is XAML, which is going to be the user interface of the app, and then C Sharp or VB is the two primary languages that people use to develop apps. Obviously, you can get a little bit lower in level if you would like with some of the other app types, but most people are using managed code such as C Sharp or VB.
And that Visual Studio Lite, right, is free. I could
Visual Studio Express.
Express, right? There we go.
Uh-huh. Yeah, if you're using Visual Studio Express, you can actually build a complete app, um, for Windows Phone, and as long as you pay the registration fee to
Which is how
Microsoft,
much? No,
$19.
that's it.
They've dropped it to $19.
Holy moly! I
It
thought it was
was
99, right?
it was 99 and they just dropped it to 19. Now Apple, I pay them every year, and theirs has never changed. They've always charged 99 bucks. Google is $25 forever. So you pay one time and you have access forever to the Android store. So I've paid my dues and I had to renew up again. And actually, being an MVP, you get a free Windows Phone developer license anyway for
Oh,
1 year. Yeah.
I did not know that.
So
I'll have to activate that.
so your MSDN Ultimate account that you've got, you can actually grab a key that will give you a 1 year license for free, and you can use that not only for the Windows Phone, but they also will give you a code for the Windows 8 store as well,
Oh, I got to go. It's been
free.
nice talking to you. No, just kidding. So if I get say I get a store, get accepted to the store, and I can submit. Can I take this app that I created off the site and just migrate that right into the store and make it available if someone wanted
Oh,
because my
sure.
dream would be to have a podcast app, right? So the network would have an app, and you wouldn't have to ever do anything again. You'd click on the app, and all the shows, both audio and
Yes.
video, would be available to you.
Yes, so the app that you created, the final package is called a ZAP file, which is what Silverlight used back in the day, and so it's just a ZAP file. It stands for something like, gosh, s- extensible application package is what I believe it stands for. One of those things I can't think of, but it's something like that. But it's a ZAP file, and you actually submit that to the store. Once you submit that to the store, you just log in and put, who you are, publisher, contact information, things like that, and then you select which markets, and then if you want it to be paid or free, obviously you would want it to be promoting your podcast.
Yeah.
So you would put free, and you would put to all markets, and then anybody would be able to download that app um, that has a Windows Phone device.
Yeah. So I guess let me throw it out to the listeners. We got quite a few, not just live, but that download this every single week. Send me an email. Let me know if you're using Windows Phone. Let me get a feel for if I got that app out there. Would you actually try it for me if you've got a Windows Phone? Because I think that's something I could. I mean, it's already set and pretty much ready to go. That's out there. It's on my phone. I just would need to move it up to the activate it, move it up to the store, right, and make it available.
And what's even great is if you didn't want to release it to just the public just yet, you can get their email address and send it to them as a
Oh,
beta user.
all right.
So only they could download it.
Do
They
they
would
have
get
to still do that thing where they load the security key or the it seems
no.
okay.
No, so any end user, all they would have to do is you would go to the portal and you would upload your file, your ZAP file, and from there you would enter in the beta names. So you would enter in a couple of people and then send it off, and they would get a link in their inbox. They sign in with their live ID, which they already have to have a live ID if they have a Windows Phone anyway. So and from there they can download the app. Now the betas expire after 90 days, so they have 90 days to basically try your app and to play with it. So after those 90 days, if you get positive feedback, or maybe you want to cut it off, at the midway mark, you could just go ahead and release it to the public.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's interesting. So if you are interested in maybe beta testing it for me, send me an email podcast at theaverageguy.tv or Jim at theaverageguy.tv. Either one of those work.
I'll beta
And
test it for you.
all right, I'll well maybe you can help me get that thing all
Get you to the
wrapped up
next
and in the
point.
store. Yeah, yeah, it would
Yeah,
be great.
it's no problem.
Could I also then? What would it take for me? Okay, so say I create this and I get it working and it's the way I like it. I know there's some tools that would allow me to maybe migrate that to Android and iPhone as well. So what would I need to do to kind of big overview, but what I need to do to get there?
Yeah, so there is some tools that will allow you to make the app. The app that you've currently got, there's really no, I guess, iOS uses these things called storyboards, and they obviously are using Objective-C. So it would be a little bit more like difficult if you were like porting that. More than likely, there is App Studio creators for iOS and Android that you could actually build that same app that you've got, and except for you wouldn't be using, your Windows Phone version,
Yeah,
but you would be
yeah.
using another website and doing a similar thing, and that way you could target iOS and Android. And really, it's 100% worth it. I have a michaelcrump.net app that's on Android right now. It's really old, and I mean it's so old that I don't know why I even leave it out there in the store. It's got me when I used to have like a beard and everything. This was back in the Michael Crump promo days, and I decided to put an app in the Android marketplace because they were really picking up. And I'm not even sure how well it works today, but I know that I put it out there, and people downloaded it, and I was very surprised because I didn't think anybody would care.
Yeah.
But
Well, what I'm
people
looking
love this
for
stuff.
isn't that difficult. It's just basically a podcast app that is specific
Yeah.
to me. So
Oh,
your
sure.
audio, your video, maybe a place where you can choose to download the video if you want to. I'm encouraging everybody to stream it just as much as I possibly can. YouTube does a great job of streaming that. You saw how fast that came up on my phone when I
Yeah.
showed that.
YouTube was
Um,
lightning
yeah,
fast.
it just works great on the Windows Phone. I'm surprised. I know there's been a bunch of talk about the Windows Phone and the YouTube app being blocked on the Windows Phone, but with the problems between Microsoft and Google, but it still works on the. I mean, YouTube still works on the phone. Let's not get that wrong. You can click on YouTube and watch videos.
Yes. And a lot of that is it's just little battles back and forth. I mean,
Yeah.
Apple has had the same thing with Google over their maps. So I mean, these are little like mobile wars that always seem to tend to pop up. And if you're one of the three bigs players, Apple, Google, and Microsoft, I think these things will happen from time
Yeah.
to time, and you just kind of just live with them,
I
just
kind of
deal with
like
them.
it. I kind of like it.
Yeah,
I'm like, bring it on. Let's scratch. Let's fight.
yeah, they love to do that.
Somebody had said, I think it was the guy or one somebody in the chat room that Microsoft really isn't making any progress in the phone market. And you think, and you mentioned BlackBerry. The big difference between Microsoft and BlackBerry is BlackBerry doesn't have any money, and Microsoft is printing money.
Yeah.
So they can lose money in the Windows Phone space for a long time before they
So
decide to do something different.
one thing I think that matters a lot about this is if you go back and you watch the WWDC videos from Apple that happened back over the summer, and Tim Cook, he's actually was born and raised here in Alabama, believe it or not. And yeah, he lost his accent when he lived in California for 20 something years. Um,
You should stop apologizing for Alabama. There's some good tech there.
No, I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. No, I love my state. Everybody that you know, everybody likes for me to play poke at him a little bit. But in that video in the keynote, he actually listed Windows Phone as the second most. Obviously, Apple was number one in terms of customer satisfaction, but he listed Windows Phone as second, which was above Android and BlackBerry, and that says a lot that Apple at least they're looking at the stats of customer satisfaction, and Windows Phone users are happy in general. The things that I think that they're not happy about is the available apps that's in
Hmm.
the marketplace.
Yeah.
But rest assured, Microsoft is putting a lot of effort and energy into making sure that that changes. And I noticed that today, for example, you're starting to see, before the Facebook apps that were in Windows Phone, Windows 8, or whatever, those were built by Microsoft. And today, I believe it was announced that, or I know that I went and I looked up the Facebook app on Windows 8, not on Windows Phone, but on Windows 8, and the publisher was actually Facebook. So Facebook is looking into this stuff, and you've made it. When you're starting to get the really big guys, and I can't stand Facebook even though I have an account, but but when Facebook says, "Hey, we're building an app native to your platform," that's usually a
Hmm.
very good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I think the next couple years will be pretty interesting in the space. What makes you excited about Windows Phone? What makes you excited about a Windows Phone? I know you were touting it when we were together at the developers conference, but what gets you excited about that?
Yeah, so I did a workshop while I was there, and I think a lot of the things for me is that, so you look at, like, what, I've had iOS 7 since the very first beta, and so when you look at for example, the start screen on iOS, you have this really bland top of start screen, and you have just a bunch of icons. And these icons really don't mean anything to you. And then you look and you open up maybe your Windows Phone, and you start seeing like this is my start screen, and I have things like these live tiles. So you notice that these icons are no longer um, these are these no longer these static icons, but like they're personalized to me. So like obviously my wife is somebody that's really frequently that I call, and she's got a picture in her profile that links to my son. So it's back to that personalization of hey, these tiles are displaying important information, and the people that are the most important to me are highlighted. Whereas, in the Apple world and the Android world, you can do similar type of things, but you don't really get that experience, I believe, that you get with the Windows Phone. And also, as far as like developing for it, it is heaven developing for it and building for it. Microsoft has made it so easy. And so when I've been developing other apps for other platforms, and obviously I'm already coming from a .NET background, so it's going to be easy anyway, or it's going to be easier for me anyway. I found that just the amount of vast resources and learning materials out there that's available for you is just absolutely wonderful for really anybody to get started. And I mean, there's a great book that's like 101. It's back for Windows 7, 101 Windows Phone 7 apps, and this guy walks you through building 101 different types of apps. And there's two books. I don't think the second book got published just because of something, but there's a first book that's out, and it shows 50 apps being built from scratch. And it was very easy how he was building them, and things have gotten even easier in Windows 8. So yeah, I guess I'm passionate about a lot of variety of things, from the tiles to the improvements to really some of the stuff that is rumored that we'll be getting next year. So with the next version of Windows Phone, the next, as I'm hearing them calling it right now.
Very cool. Let me. The guy in the chat asked this question: what's your favorite hardware, Samsung, HTC? What do you like from a hardware perspective, or do you even care?
From a hardware perspective, I have had an HTC, but the one that I use and the one that I love is my Nokia Lumia 920. I have not upgraded this, so if you were listening before, we were chatting a little bit about the 1020. I think that was before,
Yep.
and that one has an absolutely great camera. But I can tell you that this 920, I have had this before they ever released them. I stood in the line at Build for 3 hours for this phone, and was handed it, and ever since it has been a rock solid phone. I've had it with me everywhere. I've dropped it. I've done everything that I possibly could do to it. The screen is still absolutely perfect. It takes great pictures. So I'm a big Nokia Lumia fan, and obviously, I do a lot of stuff for Nokia. I have on my Nokia developer shirt, if you can see that.
There you go.
Nokia Nokia developer shirt. So I'm a big fan of them. I'm doing a couple of webinars for Nokia at the end of this month. So yeah, I guess I probably could beg them for the 1020.
They probably give you one if you just asked. You know?
Yeah, yeah, they probably would. I guess I'm just kind of satisfied with what I've
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, it's the same platform. I mean, unless you're taking a lot
Yeah,
of pictures with it, there's not much difference. GDR. Okay, so I may have the terminology wrong, but GDR3, right? That's the
GDR3.
newest. That's the
GDR3.
new. That's the newest, and that just came for your phone, right?
Yeah, so that's the GDR is basically just general distribution release. I got that one actually right, and that one you can only get right now if you get that app that I was telling you
What's
about.
the name of that app?
So I have to actually go back and find it. I
Tell you
can't.
what, we'll do it. We'll do it in
Yeah,
the
I
post
can't.
show.
I can't remember it offline, but
So, are you
I'm.
telling me I can upgrade my phone to GDR3 tonight?
Yes,
Okay, so
yes, you can.
save that for the post show. We'll do that. We'll walk through that with folks and do that in the post show. Michael, you had said you'd had a question for me around the 520, so I want to make sure you get a chance to ask me that one.
Yeah. So my question is the 520 and the 521 have an SD card,
I do.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Have you put one inside of it? And if you've,
No, I haven't. No, I
oh, see,
haven't
that
done that
kills
yet.
that kills the second question.
Shoot.
I was wondering what your experience was, or maybe anybody that may be listening, um, you know, what their experience has been with maybe storing podcasts to different types of media and things like that on the SD card. I've never had a Windows Phone 8 device that had the ability to have an SD card. So I've never been able to actually play with it. And that's what actually, when we were talking before, I was thinking about buying one to actually plug in an SD card
Yeah,
inside
I
of it.
should just go buy a cheap one, right? Let me throw that up there. Hold on, let me get the right. So you can see the slot for it right
Yeah, I
below
can see
my.
the slot.
Yeah, that's just in the back. I just pulled the cover off. It's still on. By the way, I probably
That's
shouldn't do that.
awesome.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did. So you can see, and since I got the phone, I just haven't had a ton of time to even get to the store to get one. I mean, they're $30 or something, right? It
Yeah.
can't be. So I need to. You're gonna convince me to go out and get one and throw that in there so I
Yeah.
can talk about it.
Well, so and the thing is that um, you know, throwing some music, putting some other stuff on it, and seeing how well it accesses it without actually just I guess wondering what the performance is like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny is that you're telling me about how cheap the other device is now. So now I need to actually just buy one
You do. It's
instead
a
of
hundred
wondering
bucks.
about it.
It's it was the it. Sometimes I buy tech stuff and I buy it guilty. I'm like,
I'm always like that.
I really shouldn't have this thing. I can't believe I'm doing this. This thing was a no-brainer. I mean, I didn't feel guilty for a second. I'm like, oh, $100, bought it, done. It is such a good device for just $100 that just by itself, and it gets me in the Windows Phone ecosystem. I'm an Android guy. That's kind of where I'm at today.
You've been
Um,
using Android for
I
a
have
while.
been using Android, and I'm a lot in the Google space, and the Android phone works well for me. I'm not saying it's better than the Windows phone. It's just for what I do today. If I was going to go to Windows, I'd go to a 1020, right? And then I would switch everything,
Yes,
and
that
I
would
would yeah,
it would be over with
yeah,
that.
yeah. I would make it work for me. And there's just some shifts that I would have to do. Now, full caveat, I'm a pretty simple user, right? Don't I don't change a lot of things. I don't monkey with stuff. I don't add a lot of backgrounds. I kind of make it super simple on myself. So I think for me, switching between any of those phones would be pretty easy because I just don't ask a lot from my phone, you
Yeah,
know?
sure. Sure, yeah. And it's one of those things, a lot of people that are on Android, that I talk to and I talk about, what's preventing you from moving over? Instagram was something that a lot of people were talking about that they wanted. And, while I use Instagram, I don't really ever promote, Instagram or anything like that. There's Instagraph that's on Windows Phone that you can use because right now there isn't an actual Instagram application. And I'm just looking on my phone to make
And
sure I got
that's
the
what I've
name right.
noticed a lot with the Windows Phone is they've got a lot of knockoffs that
Yeah,
aren't right.
they aren't the real thing, as they say.
Here's what's weird to me about that. And Tim's got some questions from chat for you. I'm going to read those
Okay,
here in just a
sure.
second, but here's what's weird to me about that. When I'm on Android, I have no problem downloading that crappy software that comes from some knockoff guy that does something weird, right? When I'm on the Windows Phone, it feels dirty. Right? I'm like, oh, I don't want to defile my phone with, it's a it I treat the Windows Phone differently than I treat the Android device, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and so like now I do look for third-party apps. It's strange because like for Twitter, for example, I actually care about Twitter, and I use Twitter every day. I use it for my job, I use it for information, and I use Mo Tweets for my Twitter app, and I don't use the official app. Now, I have multiple SIM cards, so I do carry around an iPhone with me at times, and on that one, I actually use the official Twitter app because I found it to be really good.
Yeah, it is good.
And I mean, and it's the same kind of thing. It looks very similar to like the Android version, and it's
Hmm.
just a solid, rock solid app.
Twitter is super consistent across all three platforms, right? I mean, Windows Phone, iPhone, and Android. The Twitter app is nearly identical. I mean, you can really get it on all the phones, and the exact same swipes and behaviors do the exact same thing, and I like that. Good job Twitter for doing that.
Well, and then the other thing is, talking about going back to the knockoff type of things. Fitbit, for example, on Windows Phone, it's back to one of those dirty type of apps because like the one that I'm using is called Fitbit Companion, and it's not built by Fitbit. It's somebody that just tapped into their API and kind of ran with it from there. Whereas when I'm using my iPhone, obviously they have a Fitbit official app that works with Bluetooth. So it will sync that data automatically for you. So yeah, the right now I think the big issue is getting the rest of the apps over to the phone. I think people really do enjoy the phone, and Delta actually, if you fly Delta, you will notice that the flight attendants, are actually using Windows phones to charge people if they want to like order extras and things like
Mm-hmm.
that while
Mm-hmm.
they're on the flight. And, I know everybody's mad because we all want to use our mobile phones on an airplane, and they say we can't do it, but they can.
Although they're not
But
messing with them,
uh,
but
yeah,
until they get to 10,000 feet either. So
exactly.
I watched
So
them. We were on American
yeah,
when I was coming back from California, and they're using Samsung. They got to be Notes. They're big.
yeah,
They are huge.
big.
I took a picture of them. They do the same thing. They're swiping and selling stuff, and that's how they keep
Oh
track of
yeah.
the manifests, and they're looking stuff up on those. And so with in-flight Wi-Fi, why not? Right? They can
Oh,
get all the latest gate information and all that stuff right on there.
yeah, and I'll tell you, it makes absolute complete sense to me you know, to use a phone, and also, I ride in cabs, quite frequently if it's somewhere that I'm going that there's really no reason for me to be driving. When I was in Seattle, I think it was last week, where I was at, everywhere I needed to go was in walking distance. So when I was actually ready to pay, they pulled out a device that clipped into their iPhone, and we're just able to swipe your card,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
directly from that. And those same sort of devices are moving over to Windows Phone right now. I mean, I've seen news articles about them starting to build those same sort of devices for Windows Phone, where you can start checking people out with that. And we even have some like local ice cream shops that it's kind of a mom and dad's type of shop that they're just using their mobile phone to check people out. So
Yeah, no, my daughter-in-law owns a salon here in town, and until they got their credit card processing system set up, they used just their phone to swipe it. Now,
oh yeah.
there's some pretty crazy fees for that, so it's not the most. While it sounds great,
hmm
those companies that are doing that, it's a little
the
expensive for the vendor.
the software is typically free, but you pay for the hardware and you really pay for the
Yeah,
transaction.
you pay. That's where you really pay, is in the transactions.
Yeah, the
So, while
the
it sounds cool,
transaction.
yeah, while it sounds cool, if you wouldn't run your business on that because you're paying them 4 to 5%, where the average, if you're using somebody else, and Mike Howard would know better, he does a lot of this for Waffle House, but I think those fees are a little bit less for some of the bigger
Yeah, that
companies if you're going through a regular credit card processing. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
definitely,
So,
definitely less.
well, let me cover this question. We'll bring this part of the show in for a landing. I like to try and keep it just over an hour,
Okay,
and then we'll stay around for post show. And you're gonna help me upgrade my phone
okay,
while we
let's
do
do
that here
it.
in the post show. Real quick question though, Tim Black, he's got both the 920 and the 820. Those both have GDR3 that were pushed out from AT&T. And so, right, his phone is updating. He's saying he doesn't have to have that up to update because he's already updated his phone with it
Yes,
from
if
the
he's
carrier,
yeah,
right?
if the carrier has released GDR3, and you can actually tell by the version number. So now I can't tell you the version number off the top of my head, but if you go into your phone, for example, and you go and you click on, I'll just do it. You click on the little settings screen, and then you scroll, and you go to where it says about, and you click on the one that says more info. You'll see OS version. And so GDR2 will have something that is similar to 8.0.10328.78. That's GDR2. And if you're having GDR3, it's going to be a number that's higher than that, obviously.
So mine says 8.0.10327.77.
Yeah, and that 7.7, I did a blog post on this because there was a lot of confusion. Even that 7.7 could still be GDR2,
Okay.
but you definitely are not on GDR3.
Okay. So we've got an upgrade to do. So Any difference between using the app and what the carriers pushed, or is it the exact same thing?
The apps, yeah. So one thing to keep in mind about this is that if you're using like a Nokia device and things like that, Nokia has a feature called Glance. I don't know if you've ever
Mm-mm.
heard of that or not, but so this is what my phone is looking like whoops, right now, and this is called Glance, and I've got it set to peak, where you see the time down there at the bottom. Actually, the time is way off because I still have this phone set to Eastern Europe. But if I click on it again, or so like right now it's a completely black, and then if you like basically put your hand over it, it'll start showing again. Those are
Mm-hmm.
Nokia apps, and those apps are not going to be included in the GDR3 release
Okay.
because those are apps that are specific to Nokia.
But that glance feature is GDR3.
No, that
Oh,
glance feature is Nokia.
Nokia. Got it. Got it.
That's something that they built.
Okay.
And they wanted to be a little bit different, obviously.
Do I need GDR3 to make glance work from Nokia?
So in order for that feature to work, you have to have a Nokia phone,
Okay.
which you do.
Yeah.
And so I don't think actually I think that you may already have it in the current release that you've got.
Oh,
So if you click on settings, and you scroll all the way down to the very bottom.
okay.
Do you see something that says, and I'll just put it up here at the top. Do you see something that says glance down at the very
No, I
bottom?
have touch and display, and that's it.
You have touch and display. So
Yeah.
I've got access point, audio, storage filter. So glance is the one that's at the very,
Okay.
very
So I
bottom.
don't have that available on my
So
phone.
if you make sure that you are actually updated, you can just click on your you can go back to your settings and you can click on phone updates, and then you can click on the button that says check for updates
Hmm.
and see what it says there.
I think it'll say I have the most recent version, but I don't have AT&T service on this. Remember, I did not activate this on
You have
AT&T yet.
it's not activated at all, correct?
Correct.
That may be why.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. So.
couldn't I really couldn't tell you because I'm not sure. This one is activated.
Yep. Yep. So I may
Um,
have to force it. In other words, to get it to.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
And Tim is saying he didn't get glance until he got the GDR3 update.
okay, so when he got the GDR3 update, he got
Yeah.
glance. Okay, so I
Okay.
know I had it with two.
So hang around. Okay, so hang around.
Sure.
We're gonna upgrade the phone. We're gonna see if we can force that upgrade onto the Lumia 520.
Let's
And
force it.
let me bring this podcast in for a landing. And that way, if you are listening to the recorded version, you should come out and join us live Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, because we stay around for some post show and do some crazy stuff like force updating phones and those kinds of things. Just kind of depends on what's going on in the podcast. But you can join us live each Thursday night. Well, let's say 50 Thursday nights out of 52, as we get together and talk about anything that we want to talk about. Join us out here live. I will I'll remind you as well. Since we talked all phones tonight, if you haven't found a way to automatically download your podcast through it, I'm going to create an app here eventually. But until that gets created, give Stitcher a try. If you haven't tried that out, Stitcher.com. Available both for the iPhone and Android. And do you know is Stitcher on the Windows Phone? Michael, do you know
Stitcher.
Stitcher?
I
Have you?
couldn't
Maybe
tell you.
Tim Black can answer that for me. Tim, do you know if Stitcher is available on the Windows Phone? I don't think it is.
I'm
But
actually looking for it.
yeah, take a peek. Stitcher is a great way to listen to the podcast both at home and on the road. Our podcast, both here, Home Tech and Financial Tech, are available on Stitcher. Doesn't download to your phone; it just streams, which is kind of nice. Save you a little space on your phone. Stitcher.com. Search Home Tech. We say it's education for your ears. And just as a reminder, you can also find the podcast over at Spreaker and Podomatic, Audio Boo, and iTunes. We're in the Xbox Marketplace. Basically, wherever podcasts are aggregated, we are at, and you can get that done automatically. Any update on Windows Phone? See Stitcher at all? I don't think it is.
No, I didn't found.
I don't
I
think
wasn't
it is.
able to find it.
That's okay. So
So it's not there.
that's all right. So, but if you're an Android or iPhone guy, you can make that work. You can also view and subscribe to the show on YouTube. We'd love to have your iTunes or your YouTube subscriptions. I'm actually in a little bit of a contest with Mike Howard right now. He's kind of cleaning up on me. But if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, head over to the channel. Just go to theaverageguy.tv/YouTube and you can just hit the subscription button and help me catch up to Mike Howard, so I can get a few more subscriptions from you guys as well. And YouTube doesn't really spam you, so by subscribing, you're not going to get that much more email. It'll just tell you, I think it sends you an email whenever I post something new to the page. Don't forget, we have groups both on Facebook, and that's theaverageguy.tv/Facebook, on Google+, theaverageguy.tv/Google. Do you see the trend there? And don't forget to use the Amazon. All right, let me say this real quick. And so, Michael, hang on one sec. The Amazon link from you guys has just been blowing up, and I totally appreciate that, because we roll all those dollars back into the Tech Scholarship Fund. And actually, I've got 2 new things coming up for the Tech Scholarship Fund. I just purchased a Wi-Fi hard drive for Nathaniel Lindley. He's going to test that out as kind of a mobile hotspot hard drive for his car. We've done that before with other devices, but this Western Digital hard drive is like $90. Really promises some things with Wi-Fi, and we just kind of wanted to give it an Average Guy a try. Some of the things we tried before were some odd products that you couldn't find. This is a real market leader in Western Digital, and so Nathaniel's he should probably have that in the next couple days, and he'll write a couple posts on, can you take a Wi-Fi enabled hard drive, drop it in the car, and then let the kids play their movies from their iPads and their phones and all that other stuff. So he's going to be trying that out. And then we are also looking at both the Nest smoke detector. We've talked about the Nest thermostats for a while, but Gordon has asked, hey, I want to look at the Nest smoke detector. And then actually Sarah, my wife, she wants that little doorbell that's Wi-Fi enabled. It's got the camera in it and a whole bunch of different features. And you can check who's at your door from your phone. So we got some things coming up on the Tech Scholarship Fund stuff that if you're interested in testing something out, the way it works is you send me an email, tell me what you want to check out. If I have the money, I'll buy it for you. We'll ship it to you. You write a couple posts, come on the show and talk about it, and then you get to keep it. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Michael, doesn't that sound like a good deal?
That sounds like an excellent deal. I think I would do it. It's
going pretty well. It only works because you guys click on the Amazon link. You go to theaverageguy.tv/Amazon, and this has been a record month for us, so I appreciate that. If you don't want to buy things at Amazon, but you want to help out the scholarship fund, you can also click on the donation link out at theaverageguy.tv. And Jim Shoemaker did that as well. We appreciate his donation to the fund. It sounds like a real fund, doesn't it? It's doing pretty well. It's been good.
Doing good for the charities.
Yeah, I love it. I love to buy stuff for guys and let them test it out. And we that's
awesome.
Just last week we had the MK908 mini Android PC device. You know, they're the little tiny devices. They're about this big, and they got Android on them.
Very sweet.
And Kyle Wilcox reviewed that, and so I like it because it gets the guys and gals. Hopefully, we can get a few gals involved in the community, and so I appreciate that as well. Again, theaverageguy.tv/Amazon. Michael, thank you for coming on the show. If you're listening to the recorded version of this will end it. Come out and join us.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, and I'll thank you in advance. You're going to stay around and help me hack on the phone a little bit and get the upgrade going in.
Absolutely. I just posted a link to the chat window, and hopefully some people are able to see it.
Yeah, very cool. Come back and join us next week, next Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Good night, everybody.